What race are you running for, and then why are you running in this race?
Okay. I am running to be the next representative for Congressional District 21, which is currently represented by Chip Roy. The reason that brought me into this race is actually I'm a political outsider. I wanted nothing to do with politics until politics started involving itself in my life and involving itself in my children's lives. And instead of complaining and sitting from the sidelines, I decided to do something about it, and here I am, running to build a better future for them and, by default, everyone else.
All right. Can you tell me what your top three initiatives are for your campaign and if you're elected?
Okay, well, the top three initiatives actually boil down to one initiative because all of the issues in the federal legislature boil down to this issue. And it's balancing the budget and having control of our deficit spending, which is the primary job of Congress. And we haven't been able to do that for decades now. We've had the same type of resumes over and over again, and nobody can seem to balance a budget. They can't live within their means or control spending. And I'm frankly tired of getting to building a nation of crippling debt that my children is going to inherit, your children and grandchildren are going to inherit, just because people don't know how to live within their means. So we need to have people that actually understand that. And as a CEO of an oil and gas exploration company, I understand very well how to live within and how to balance multi-million, billion-dollar budgets.
Can you talk about how you set your campaign apart from the other candidates in the race? There's a lot of them, and one is backed by the president and a governor.
He is. My campaign, basically what makes me different is truth. That is my campaign. That has been my strategy from day one. All I'm doing is telling the truth, how I think things should be done, and how I expect to do those things. What a novel concept for a politician. There are 12 actually competitors, or there's 12 total. I would say colleagues, not competitors, but there are 12 individuals running for the Republican ticket in the Republican primary to be the representative. And there is one individual who is, as you said, backed by the governor and backed by the president. As a matter of fact, I don't think there's a single endorsement that he may not have in the public sphere. And it certainly makes things, I wouldn't say challenging from my perspective. For me, it just keeps me exactly on message, and the fact that we're fighting a machine, and it truly is a machine. I bought into the fallacy to think that anybody could run for Congress. I thought, a school teacher can run for Congress, anybody can do this, and I realized real fast exactly what a machine it truly is. And even being up against that machine, we still find ourselves in a solid second place without all those fancy endorsements, and we have a lot of support, and we're going to still go away. Okay. We're going to keep going.
Can you talk about some of the hot topic issues and where you stand on them in terms of taxes, education, health care, immigration?
Of course. We'll start with taxes. Taxes, being as a conservative, I believe in less government and smaller taxes. The government should stay out of our business. The state governments should be more in control of the day-to-day lives of the states, and the federal government should not imply itself. Unfortunately, we have this, we built a system that is not as the founding fathers intended. The system was designed to be similar to jury duty, that we have members of the community, leaders, pillars of the community, business leaders come together, go to Washington, do the common good, and then come home. And that is not the system that has been built into place. Now we have overreaching government, and the federal government getting further and further into people's pocketbooks, making poor decisions, and needing more money and wanting to spend more money and increase more taxes and keep going for what they say is the common good, which I vehemently disagree with. The second thing, what was the second hot topic?
Education, healthcare.
Education. Education is a very dear thing. I have 4 young children myself. We go to the public education system in Boerne, Texas. And the federal government should not be, and is not in charge of education. The Department of Education is something that should be removed. The reason why college educations have gone from $10,000 a year up to $250,000, $300,000 a year is simply because the federal government is deciding to play winners and losers through the Department of Education. They are using that Department of Education to guarantee loans that are taken for college educations. Now, a college education from MIT or Harvard or say whatever institution that was in the 1970s is not that different then as it is today. So can anybody tell me why the education continues to become so much more expensive year after year? Yes, we get new books, yes, but for the most part, your basic economy 101 classes, your English literature, all of those things, your basic foundations in a college course are exactly the same. So what changes? It's the involvement of federal government and money changing hands. And so now it's impossible for somebody to go and get a college education and actually create a job that could pay for that potential loan. It's gotten to a point where college is a scam, education is a scam. It also gets back to the point of the H-1B1 visas. Kind of the original point of those H-1 visas was to go outside because we didn't have the education, the talent here in the United States. Unfortunately, we had to reach outside of the United States to find that talent. I personally want to bring all that talent back and stop that and continue our education. It's absolutely infuriating where it's gone down. And I believe the third issue was immigration. Is that the third?
Healthcare and immigration.
Okay. Healthcare, so the third one will tackle healthcare. Healthcare, which was passed as the Affordable Care Act, has become the Unaffordable Care Act. We're told you're not going to be able to, you're going to keep your doctor, you weren't going to have to lose privileges, but we found out that was just a lie. And instead of being able to tear it down and build it back to a free market system, and I can prove to you emphatically that a free market system will work, and I use the idea, the concept of LASIK eye surgery. When LASIK eye surgery first started out, it was $20,000 per eye. Well, insurance didn't cover it, Medicare, Medicaid didn't cover that. It was a cash-only business. So more doctors thought, wow, this is a really good job opportunity. This is a really good opportunity. I'm going to go to school. I'm going to become an optometrist. So more doctors ended up going to school. The free market taking over. More doctors go to school to study this. Then they start buying the equipment. Buy it from GE, the LASIK eye surgeries. The prices come down. The free market takes over. Today, LASIK eye surgery is $3,500 or around. A prime example of how the free market does work. We need to transpose that and have somebody who understands how to build businesses at the federal level, because the federal government clearly doesn't do anything well, and they certainly cannot get the healthcare problem solved. The only method that they use now is to spend more money and hope that it fixes the problem, and that will never fix the problem. We have to put in a healthcare system that actually works, and the one that is there today does not work. The fourth issue that you brought up was immigration. So we are a nation of laws, and on the laws as it was written today, if you cross the border illegal, you are therefore an illegal immigrant. You have broken a law. Now, does that mean that I don't have compassion for families or for children, or I want to see people torn apart and broken? No, of course not. Of course I have compassion. But compassion is one of the things that has made this country and helped us go into crippling debt. Now I ask you, if we're not a nation of laws, at what point do we become one? If somebody committed murder 40 years ago, and they have been the most religious and the most pious person, they have given back to their community for all that 40 years, they've been the best that they could possibly be. Does that eliminate the crime that they've done 40 years ago? No, it does not. And if we have societies and cities and individuals to pick and choose which laws they follow, there are consequences. For those of you that are struggling with automobile insurance, well, you can have cities to blame for that as well and not following the law. In Washington, D.C., they have grand theft auto that they do not prosecute the individuals who steal these cars, who go on joyrides. An insurance company are required to repair or replace these cars over and over again. But yet we have a system that rewards that. They do not prosecute, they do not throw them in jail, they do not even go after it. They arrest them. It's a catch and release program. And then everyone's surprised when when automobile insurance goes up and up, because somebody has to pay for that cost. There are costs and effect of not following the law. Same thing with immigration.
Okay. How do you push for people who are going to vote to look through all of this noise and chaos of there being so many people running in this election? How do you stand out from the crowd?
So that's the hard part, because what I have seen during this process is I have seen some of the best of the candidates and I have seen some of the worst of the candidates. And being able to differentiate and see sort of inside somebody's soul or see their integrity, look them in the eye, that's something that's very, very difficult for the average voter to do unless you're extremely involved. And I encourage all of you to go and do as many meet and greets as you can. Try to actually get the candidates to talk to you if you can reach out to them. I'm personally, we're available. We have our cell phone out. We have our media's out. We try to meet with everybody and try to answer as many questions. You really have to figure out who that person is, because the person that's going to represent you in this particular district, unfortunately, is probably going to be there for a very, very long time. For the past 38 years, we've only had 2 representatives. The first one being Lamar Smith, he was there for 30 years. The second was Chip Roy, who was still there, and had he not been running for Attorney General, it's safe to say that he could be there for another 20 years. And it is very important. How I separate myself is, as we were talking about, one of my truths is, that's it. That is my campaign platform, is to tell you the truth and who I am. The second thing that separates me is the fact that I'm a veteran. I understand what service, sacrifice, and dedication truly mean, and I bring that same commitment to public leadership. As a CEO of an oil and gas business that I built from the ground up, I understand how to manage a resource wisely, how to solve complex problems and deliver results, not promises or political rhetoric. And as a father, I'm grounded with values of integrity and compassion, and I understand that we have to have long-term strategic thinking, because the choices that we make today not only affect us, but it also affects the future that our children will inherit.
Is there anything else about your campaign that you want to add that we haven't talked about yet?
No, I think we've got it all.